Hey guys, Ron Worley, another episode of Ditches to Riches. As you know by my interlude, I have a new guest on. I'm so excited for this guest. I've been watching him for years. He's been all over TV, 40 years of entertainment as a hypnosis and comedian. He has been on countless TV shows, including Maury Povich, which is where I always saw him. And I have followed him my whole life, so I'm sort of a fanboy. Boris Cherniak. How are you, buddy?
Ron, a pleasure to be with you. I did not realize, 40 years, I kind of look okay, hopefully by now, but I love every second of it. And I'm glad people get touched by what I do. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because when you first started out, I'm sure it was much different and you were dealing with much different things than you are now.
Yeah.
uh,
Hypnosis was not as accepted as it is now. So it was a little bit of an uphill battle as far as getting people to look how real this is. And I'm still dealing with it to this day.
oh, yeah, I'm sure you are. There's a lot of skeptics and whatnot, but hypnosis truly works, though. So on Maury Povich, I would see you fix people with real issues. What got you into hypnosis? Was this a childhood thing, or because you're also a comedian, very funny man as well?
I don't think of myself as funny. I think people are funny. And what got me into it is actually quite simple. I was a skeptic myself. I read a book at a point in time where I could not believe that any of this is real. The book was called The Search for Bridie Murphy. It's about a gentleman who regresses a lady past her birth. So basically takes the time, counts it backwards to where she becomes a different character beyond her birth. And tells the gentleman about names, places, all of the stuff that's happening around her. And that session happened to have been recorded. So he goes and verifies if any of those things were true, and they were true. So that was what set me off. Oh my goodness, I really need to know more. Most people do not bother with finding out uh, the full extent, but I haven't stopped learning. And to this day, something new and exciting always pops up. And how do we get to the point where we can change the way people think, the way people act? And on stage, I do it through fun and games. Like you mentioned, Maury Povich, you do it behind the scenes where you can actually show people that there's a positive side to it, where you can control everything from your mindset to phobias and the fears and being able to believe in yourself to what's happening right now in the world, everything from stress to anxiety. And that's what I actually have been doing through the pandemic. When I couldn't perform in front of people, I found myself online talking to companies and large groups how to deal with the anxiety, stress relief. And I called it Mental Health Toolbox, which is what everybody needs. And I swear to you, the word did not fall apart. All it is, it's how you think about it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, in that aspect, going on to Zoom, we discussed before you can't really hypnotize over Zoom very well.
Well, you
But
can. I lead it in a guided meditation,
oh,
which
okay,
basically is an offshoot of how hypnosis works, where you take the mind on a peaceful and tranquil journey that people can follow.
okay, gotcha. So then that's what you kind of morphed into with the pandemic and whatnot, um, which I can see being very, very valuable for a company to have their people mental health very locked in, especially with the pandemic. I think we've lost a lot of by not that's one of those things that happens when you don't have personal touch. You just kind of
Right. And
lose
we're
yourself.
all stuck in our own houses, in our own heads.
Hmm.
Right. And it's a matter of getting out. And before we were able to talk to people and even I would call it unload your problems on your best friend or somebody who can listen to you and say, yeah, yeah, you are right. But it's a matter of being able to relate to others. And when this is what people do actually in prison. In order to break somebody, they are thrown into solitary confinement.
Right.
That's what they did to us for a little while. And
Yeah.
instead, take it and use it as something that will propel you. And this is why a lot of creativity is happening right now. People are uh, like a horse that is being held back, and then you finally let it go.
No
Eventually,
kidding.
things will come out that are either creative or something that you do to deal with the universe at that point in time.
And that is a great way to look at it. We are heavily creative right now as a society in the world. The, I won't even get into it, but NFTs and things like that are really popular, the digital space. And we pivoted basically as a mankind, and we're starting to uh, accept what was our fate and now is our future. So very good. So would you say you've kind of pivoted yourself and you're adapting into more of the mental health role than you were before, or is this still just the norm for you?
It was I never really morphed. I more branched out. That's the best way to put it.
Okay.
I was always in the mental health arena where
Mhm.
even my show that would be on stage would have positive messages constantly dropped throughout. Here's a funny routine. Here's what you learned from it. It was a throwaway, and unlike lecturer, I think that's the best way to learn while you're laughing. So here's something that did not work out the way somebody may have envisioned, but here's something that you can take out of it. And to me, that translated into the business world. From being visionaries, I actually created a term called prophetic thinking, where just like a prophecy, something comes through because you just think about it and concentrate all of your energies on that goal, if you like. And the visionaries are people who just are able to visualize themselves to see what will become in the future. It's that simple. So once you constantly keep putting all of that information in front of yourself and live by that principle, everything it changes accordingly.
Yeah, sure. And I think a lot of the sports athletes are visionaries themselves, and we.
Funny enough, I have dealt with many sports athletes, and one of my favorites, I don't know if you're familiar, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who
Oh yeah.
was one of, I did an NFL little thing where he was a star. So Ryan, if you're watching, I hope you get a chance to say hello in person again.
Oh, that's nice. And Ryan, if you're watching, tell me you're watching because that's awesome. uh, who do you think you work with the most? You said companies lately, but gosh, 40 years of this, and you did have an uphill battle when you first started. But you still were, I think it was just the way people were looking at you.
Well, they
Because
weren't looking at me. A lot of times people are uh, how can I say this bluntly, almost offended by hypnosis shows themselves for the simple reason that a good actor can also play out the same material on stage. Yet, for me, the most exciting thing is it happens without getting actors involved or people playing along. It's happening right. As a hypnotist, I don't do anything. I just simply create a scenario that is someone will react to. So a person doesn't actually change. They react to the reality, and I give them a different reality. So that's what happens. They react to the situation that I created, and that situation becomes their world, and that's what they act out on stage with the audience not being part of that whole thing because they're not only watching, they become immersed in the whole situation as well. So it becomes a give and take. I take a little bit from the audience, give it to the people on stage, and it's a spiral that just constantly increases even on stage.
you make it sound so easy, but man, that is incredible that you're able to spin
Well,
these
it's like a
minds.
symphony orchestra. Think of
Yeah.
me as the director of events. I'm the guy with a baton. What I take is literally, I feed off of the different people, but I'm not the star of the show. I've never been the star of the show. I make people stars. And once they become stars, they don't realize that there's anybody watching them. They're in that moment. They're in the reality that I have just introduced.
And you're you're very humble, and I appreciate that about you. Uh,
Well, it's never about me. It never has been about me. I can take credit only for creativity.
sure.
Anybody can learn how to hypnotize. So I just took the medium and present comedy through that medium. That's all I do. And I started, like you were saying, the beginnings where I starved to death until I got to be able to buy the food on the table, where somebody was able to put me on a stage, and I was doing what I was absolutely enjoying. I'm the guy that ran away with the circus. I
That's
had a
awesome.
dream, and people said, "You can't." I did, and that's exactly the story of my life. I can't say that enough.
How old were you when you started then?
Uh, First time I got paid, I was 17.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah,
young. That's
that
awesome.
makes me almost 18 now, but
Yeah.
40 years, you can do the math.
Yeah.
But I wasn't old enough to drink in the places where I was performing at the time. And it was the most amazing thing. And, hey, kid, let's see what you can do this time. And one of the things that talk about creativity, one of the things that I can take credit for is at some point in time, I got hired at one of the big bars in Toronto where I was performing, Woody's at the Holiday Inn. And they brought me in weekly. But the place was constantly sold out. And as a matter of fact, the first time an article was written about me, the reporter could not get in because the place was sold out. So they
Awesome.
never saw my show and wrote that article. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
I was hired to work from between 8 and 12 for a 4-hour show, maybe take a 5-10 minute break. Every time I wrote a brand new show. I did
Really?
not know that you can reuse material. So I was literally young, impressionable. I didn't know any better. So over the years, I built up a whole bag of tricks, if you like. So every time that you will see the show out there, you will see something that may have been practiced, but boy, was it created right there on the spot just for you.
That's amazing. That's great. Well, that kept them coming back. So, have you ever had anybody not play along or not? I don't want to use the word play along, but you couldn't hypnotize that
Oh,
was
of
kind of
course.
messing things up.
The way the hypnosis show works, I invite volunteers onto the stage and pick the best people out of the group, the most hypnotizable ones at that moment, because everybody's hypnotizable.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, we all, and I will repeat that, we all live in a trance. So whether you like it or not, I'll give you an example. Every time that you might be different with whether it's your kids, whether it's a group of friends, it's a mask. We take it on and off.
Yeah.
That's a trance. Whether you have a specific attitude towards something, that's a trance. Have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also a trance. So
Really?
something like that literally translates into the ability to understand how people work. And once you're able to work, all I do is take the little Rolodex that your mind is and rearrange a few pieces like in a chess set. Right, that's the excitement. And for me, I create with an audience.
Yeah.
And I'm not always successful. So don't get me wrong. So it's always a bang up show every time. No, there's once in a while, no matter how experienced you are, you will have an off day. And but experience is the most amazing thing. Now I know how to weasel myself out of that. And just like writing a new routine will always get sandwiched in between something that worked before and something that will work after. One of my prize routines, and I can tell you that was written on a dare. I was performing at Acme Comedy Company in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And a guy, Tim Mitchell, who is a friend and a comedian, at the time we lost track. So, Tim, also, if you're watching, say hi. Uh, but we got a chance to spend a lot of time because during the day I come in for a coffee and we got to talk before, after shows. One subject that came around that could not be made funny. Everybody, and at the time, I will start dropping names: Nick Swartzen, Louis Black, Louis C.K. Anybody who was ever anybody tried to make that subject funny and was unable to make it funny. So that's what was presented to me. So I wrote a routine on a cocktail napkin. That got sandwiched between two other routines that I was performing beforehand. And it's literally a staple of my show today. And the subject is whitewater rafting.
Wow.
Right. Right now, there's a video online if you want on my website. It's specifically posted for that reason at incredibleboris.com. You will find that video. I've done it on several TV shows, and it's sandwiched between people on the beach who go to so all of a sudden appear themselves whitewater rafting with in a boat with a translator, and at the end they end up towards going towards Niagara Falls. Right, you know what I'm saying. So that's the funny part about the whole thing. And at the end, there was they find themselves in Alaska where they're shivering with their clothes all wet, so they find a person next to them to warm up to.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
the routine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that became a signature bit, but it was literally written on a dare.
That is amazing. And guys, just so you know, go to incredibleboris.com. You will see you've got quite a bit of videos on there. That one, as well as a bunch of other funny ones. You've done well. Your website is full of your career, and it's amazing. The clothes changed.
A long one.
So how long do you think this goes? Are you like everybody else in the entertainment business? You just can't stop, or are you getting tired of it?
I don't think I will ever retire. Every time it's something new and exciting that you change and shift towards. Television opened up a whole bunch of doors with TV shows, everything from I'm just trying to think. Maury, Montel, Howie Mandel show. Robert Irvine, after we went to Afghanistan and Kuwait to entertain troops, brought me on his talk show a few years back, where it's just a matter of I do things that, well, Howie Mandel was actually very instrumental in doing a little bit of what I do. One of the, it will explain a little bit of how my mind thinks.
Yeah.
If you remember how we had these glasses that he would go incognito and annoy people.
Yeah.
Well, I was the first one to use those glasses on his talk show. They said, well, we got these glasses. We are not quite sure what to do with them. Is there any way you could use something like that? So I hypnotized people to eat everything in sight, except we took them to a supermarket where they were eating from other people's baskets.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So that's how my mind thinks. And I do absolutely unusual stuff with hypnosis, where I put people in a situation that could not be made possible. The show, The Casino, two guys that bought the golden nugget. If you remember way back, you may be too young, but you know.
I'm not. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. Well, I was on that the show where in my live performance, I always use cocktail napkins that I pay people off with cocktail napkins, and they think they're $100 bills.
Awesome. Yeah, right.
Except that one, we're in Vegas. So I said the guy gambling with cocktail napkins, nobody would take his money. Right. So that's my brain. It doesn't work the same as everybody else's. It's just more how much trouble can I get into it, but it's got to be clean fun without
but you're messing with people.
Yeah, I'm messing with the situation. I'm not messing with people. I'm giving them the reason to act out something that I have created in my head. And like I said, it's not always successful, but when it is, boy, does it ever hit out of the park.
Oh, sure. Heck yeah. So how many times have you performed in Vegas, you think?
Oh, a bunch. A lot of it you will not hear of me performing. A lot of them are corporate conventions that are coming in, so it's not even advertised. But I've worked on the street. Another friend of mine used to own a place on the strip at Mandalay Bay. Rick Moonen had a seafood restaurant there, and him and I also went to Afghanistan and Kuwait to entertain troops. So I performed at his place a little while back, where that was the last place on the strip, but I've been on and off strip for many years.
And you mentioned going to see the troops many times. So is this you said Kuwait and where at Afghanistan?
Afghanistan I've been to twice. I've been to Bagram and Kandahar. To huge bases, and from there we went to all of the other little offshoot FOBs. I forgot what they're stand for.
Something
Forward
bases.
operating bases.
There we go.
And so they would get us in with Chinook helicopters traveling from place to place.
Oh, so you had to get geared up and helmets on and flak
Absolutely.
jackets.
Are you
Wow.
kidding me? Geared up to, and we were well protected. There were these people who literally would take bullets for us, which a way to say thank you to them was the most incredible thing that I've ever done. And I can't even say that enough. Even though I've done a bunch, being there on the ground, seeing how they work, how they operate, and these are kids, and I can't say that enough. Kids who can be, I'd say most of them are between 18 to 25. Right, and they're fighting for freedom. So if you have done that, if you have ever had anybody in the family, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you to all of them. And so that kind of, I'm just going to ask this real quick. I don't want you to, if it offends you, let me know. But what do you think of our world today? What's your take on what's going on?
People are acting up. It's not offending me at all, and they're acting up for a reason. The only thing that offends me, if you like, and I'm going to be a little controversial if you don't mind,
Please do.
Is people who will not let others speak up.
Yeah, amen.
So this whole cancel culture that offends me to the point of I think it's all about intelligent conversation on both sides, and people should be able to hear each other rather than you said something and it's wrong and I don't want to hear it.
Right.
It may not fit what you like, but unfortunately it may need to be spoken. And an intelligent conversation rather than a fight is what leads to change.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not afraid of change at all. I'm sure none of us really are. We don't like it later in our lives. I don't really want to change too much, but what's happening now is a big change. And
change is good. Change is
sure.
difficult. Change will always be difficult, but change is good. Change leads to something else in the future. And if I believe in equilibrium, so if something goes this way, it'll come back because something else is pushing it the other way. So to me, it's even just I will refer back to the cancel culture. It will try to cancel, but people who will speak up will always make it right, no matter what. There might be less of them, but a momentum always picks up, and that momentum will get you to a better world. So to me, as long as there's conversation, it doesn't happen to need go any way other than that. Talk about it. Talk about it. Understand how the other person feels. Walk in their shoes. You might not be understanding it right there on the spot.
You're 100% correct, sir. That is, and I hope to God.
And somebody watching will say, no, I don't believe in that. Somebody said something I did not like, which is okay. You might not have liked it, but the fact that you are able to say something. See, I was born in Moscow, Russia, and speaking out was not allowed. So the fact that somebody's able to speak up, they have free speech is what is well worthwhile to me.
Sorry, hold on just a second. Okay, we're good. 3, 2, 1. Guys, cut that, please. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna.
A little noise coming through.
My studio is at home, obviously, so dogs are out there barking.
Same with here. None of this is real. Even the backdrop, it's a black sheet that hangs behind me.
Well, you look great. Your camera is awesome, obviously. So really
thank
good.
you. Well, it's a professional setup. Just because I do stuff for large audiences. So when there's 1,000 people, I want to make sure that it comes off well.
Absolutely. Well, and I just wanted to finish that topic up with, I hope we keep our freedoms throughout this, because what you just said is only allowable to have a conversation with each other. If you cancel culture, everybody, this whole cancel, if you cancel everybody, nobody has freedom anymore. We're gone. And we've got all these people that have fought for these freedoms. And, to me, it's just scary to see where we're headed with all this. And
well, even the cancel culture has the right to speak up.
yeah, absolutely.
It should be a two-way conversation rather than the social media. I see it as shouting into the void.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I can put it. People screaming, if anybody listens, I'll take care of that. But it's a matter of the masses may agree with you or disagree with you, but there's different ways of dealing with it. I believe that logic is what it's all about. It's not about listen to me. It's not me, it's us.
Well, thank you very much. And let's talk about your book a little bit. You Can Do Anything. We talked off there. Yeah, show it. There we go. I love it. Okay, tell us a little bit about what it's about, Boris.
Well, the book is my journey. It's that simple. I lived an incredible life in the sense where I've tried stuff and I did it all. I'll tell you the background.
Okay.
Born in Moscow, came to Canada as a little kid, traveled the world for a little while. Now I spend time between Canada and US. And at the same time that I did this, came back after having performed. I went through the ranks of the comedy clubs. So, and the way they work, if you're not funny, you're not coming back. So I found a way to be funny and be the next guy, or if you work cheap enough, you're able to get on a stage somewhere, right? And I was that guy. People were offering me stage time and I was there. As the time progressed, I figured, I saw enough comedy clubs, I'll open up my own. And I opened up two really big ones, one a 400-seater, the other one a 200-seater, called Comedywood. And they lasted for 10 years until the lease was up and 9/11 came. So after 9/11, I closed one of the clubs. And when the lease was up, they were looking to double my rent. And I figured I still have a career at that point in time, and I'll continue with my career. And continued taking that time to make sure that, even with the comedy clubs, that some of the people that you will see on your screen on a stage somewhere, I have helped give stage time to, just because I had a stage to offer. And like one of the clubs, and some of these people are no longer around. The first club, actually both of them are no longer around. The first club was opened up with a comedian that you may have seen on the show Last Comic Standing, Ralphie Mae.
Oh yeah, we know Ralphie.
Yeah, well, Ralphie was a really good friend, used to open up for me. And a really funny story where Ralphie was a little too big to fly. Based in Houston, he used to open up for either too big or too economical. How's that? He would have had to buy 2 seats. And the money that I had available was not enough to bring him over. So he drove from Houston all the way to Toronto.
Wow.
Right. So it's a long drive. Yeah, that's about 3,000 miles or something ridiculous like that. So in order to compensate for that, I booked them for 3 weeks instead of 1.
Oh, cool.
Right. So stuff like that. And the second club was opened up with another favorite of mine, but nobody really knew until he showed up at my club, who he really was, Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, wow. Oh, Mitch is gone too. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And Mitch was absolutely brilliant. And I booked him early summer. The club opened up in the fall. And in the summertime, I don't know if you're familiar with a comedy festival, Just for Laughs. That's where comedians, usually that's your way to come out to the world, if you like, because the agents, managers, everybody who's anybody in the comedy industry is there. So Mitch that summer performed at Just for Laughs. And at that festival, he got a $500,000 deal with one of the networks. So that's when everybody figured out. And the first date that he was performing at was at my club. And so So to put love into it. So yes, I was able to recognize some of the talents that were on their way up, that were not quite known yet, but really should. I brought in, talk about women on the stage. One of my personal favorites, Wendy Liebman.
Yeah.
If you don't know Wendy, find out about her. I
Yeah,
just
she's
saw her
funny.
recently on America's Got Talent on one of the seasons a year or two back.
Okay.
So
Wow.
if you don't, one of the most amazing ladies in the industry.
Yeah, and
I'm a
she's starting to
huge,
get some
huge fan.
traction. She's starting to
Yeah.
get some traction. We're starting to see her in quite a
Yeah.
few places. So yeah.
Well, just because she's funny. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
And I try to advance stuff that the comedy business is fairly competitive, but these people are creators of something that is in their heads, and they're trying to get the audience to understand how they think and present it
Yeah.
to the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
to me, some of the best ones are that do it effortlessly. At such a pleasure being able to see them.
Yeah, really, honestly, and comedians are they're just sad clowns, really. I mean, a lot of them
Not
are.
all of them.
Not,
Some of them are amazing writers, and that's why they're where they are.
mhm.
It's just there is a few that may be broken, and that's one way of them to have
Yeah,
therapy. And I've seen many of those as well. But some of the greatest ones are where you're watching somebody and it's effortless
yeah.
uh, ability to make a member in the audience laugh, and it's universal, where they can actually take the material and make it so that everybody can laugh at the same time in the audience and they can get it.
Are you friends with Sam Kennison? Did you know him?
Oddly enough, I wasn't friends with Sam Kennison. I do know many people who are. I spent a lot of time in Houston.
Yeah.
I have met Sam on several occasions. And
Wow.
one of the first comedians that literally had me falling off a chair was when I was 19 years old, dropped by the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. And some guy dropped in. I didn't know who he was at the time, who went through a huge, a fairly dirty set that was beyond anything that I've ever seen. And I took my camera and took a picture of him, and that was Sam Kennison.
That's awesome. Yeah, he was. Yeah, just we have some old comedians that I miss these days. It's just a different deal. But everybody, it's like comedy has just changed over the years.
Right.
But that's good.
Sam was with the Houston Outlaws, and I was I performed at a club that went after the comedy showcase was Comedy Workshop, if I'm not mistaken. That's the name of the club that closed down, and everybody came over to the comedy showcase.
Okay.
And that was my place to be in Houston, where I would be literally for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 times a year on the average.
And you've had such a great career, man. You're so much fun to talk to.
Believe it or not, you don't always know what it is until you look back. And
Right.
For me, that has always been where you have to enjoy the moment.
Absolutely.
And even I did a talk show a little while back where one of the producers, because I was so, they call it, in the zone, stop and enjoy what you're doing. Oh, yeah. So that's the way I live at this point in time. Enjoy what you do, no matter what it is. Take the moment to just look around and, oh, yeah,
that is.
I can see where I got and how it is.
Words to live by, my friend. I just want to mention to our listeners that you also were born in Moscow, and that was during the Cold War. So times were a lot different, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's not the Moscow of today. It was the Moscow of then. And
oh, yeah. As a kid, I'll tell you this. I never saw politics. I never understood politics. And to this day, I don't get into the political side of it whatsoever. Yeah. And even if you look through my social media, that's one subject that I don't partake in, period. I don't care,
Yeah.
in the sense where there's no need to fight or create fights. And that's what it's all about. But your views, whether you're liberal, you're not, whether you're conservative, whatever it is, that's your issue.
Right.
So it's a matter of we should still be friends no matter what side you stand on.
Love it. I love it, man. I wish everybody was like you, Boris. You're a pleasure to talk to and just
Oh,
such a
thank you.
great man.
Well, everything comes around in circles. Everything that I'm a huge Johnny Carson fan, and I'll
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you, when I was 19, that's when I got a chance to see Sam Kennison. My parents, after I graduated from the college, they sent me to spend some time with friends in California. So I traveled all through California. I fell in love with the show business. I went to all of these different shows and spent a lot of time going to see Johnny Carson. And
Wow.
back then, you would line up and get
Yeah.
tickets, and the tickets don't guarantee that you get in. So there's two lines actually. So you get the first ticket, and then you go and stand in line to get into the show itself. So you'd better be ready to spend the whole day standing in line. And being from Russia, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
But so I went to see Johnny Carson on quite a few occasions over the years. When I filmed the Robert Irvine show, also filmed on the same soundstage as Johnny Carson. Also filmed on the same sound stage as when I filmed the Howie Mandel show. So that was the first one. But the last time I was there, same studio, Burbank. The Robert Irvine show was taping on the same thing. The cue I got from the people putting the show together: when you come out, stand on Johnny's spot. So that, to me, that's why I'm saying everything comes around in circle. Everything becomes worthwhile. And when it does, that's when you know that you did something right.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm starstruck. I'm amazed. You're an awesome human being, and we just appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Ron. And I hope to see all of you somewhere along the lines, maybe right around the corner. And you're in Colorado, right?
Yep, we're in Colorado. And so if John Simmons is listening, I want you to bring Boris in for next year's party, please, so that we can hang out together.
Absolutely. Please do. I did a whole bunch of stuff in Colorado. Did the New York Life kickoff in Arvada, Colorado School of Mines. I also filmed I guess it didn't end up on the air, but America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So didn't make it, but there's more to come. So if you're watching, keep a lookout.
Keep a lookout. Stay on his website, incredibleBoris.com, and please go check out his book. I assume you're on Amazon.
I am on Amazon. You can Google me. You'll find a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you will. You've got 40 years of stuff on there, man. It's fun to look through. You Can Do Anything is the name of the book. Guys, check him out. If you don't know him, you're just stupid. So, all right. Thanks, Boris.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay. Are we good to go?
Perfect.